while I share my screen. Okay. So let me share my screen right now. All right, so I'm going to share my entire screen, and please confirm that you can see my screen. All right, great. So I might have to join my phone. So okay, so if you want to talk, right, just simply unmute so that I don't go back and forth like the slide and the meeting. Okay. All right. Okay, so um before I begin, I didn't put an about me slide here because I mean I was pressed with time and also, but notwithstanding, my name is Leslie F. Young and I am a data analyst. So I'm a Microsoft certified data analyst, and uh yeah, okay. My journey. So I've worked as a data analyst with. I started my data analysis journey in 2020. I worked with Kaduna Electricity Distribution Company. They are a distribution company in Nigeria of electricity. So I worked as a data analyst there for about 2 years, roughly. And then I went into the fiber industry where I worked as a database administrator, a database officer rather, for another roughly 1 year. And ever since then, I've started impacting this knowledge, into people to see how I can both remain relevant and also see how I can pass down this level of information to everyone around me. So that is just about me. Now, tonight's session, we're going to launch in. It's just a session that will help us, you know, have an idea or an overview of what the boot camp is going to cover. And this is an introductory class, right? So I would like us to dive in together. All right. So first of all, the question would always be why data analysis or what is data analysis, right? So a lot of people may not really understand what data analysis is. So I'll give you an example. A lot of people think data analysis is about knowing how to use maybe Excel or Power BI, but that is not data analysis, right? So data analysis is I would rather say it's a mindset, right? So that's process of data analysis. It's first a mindset before utilization of processes and tools to help you achieve desired results. Now, and why I'm saying that is because you see, data analysis, as we will come to know, is a systematic process. It is a systematic process. And one thing about systems is they run independent of whether the person who initiated the system is there or not. So it's a process of inspecting, cleansing, and transforming and modeling your data. So most of the time, you see that once you, in data analysis, once you build a mindset of an analyst, and then you're able to carry out some you're able to interact with data to bring about certain or several levels of resolutions uh, as a data analyst. You would not just find yourself um, analyzing data without the tools. But of course, when you become proficient using those tools, you find yourself super competent at analysis of data. Now, why I'm saying so is because, first of all, people start by learning data analysis with just simply learning Excel, Power BI, which is okay if you want to start through that route. But it is good to understand the foundational concepts of data analysis. Like if someone asks you, what is data normalization, for instance, you should be able to tell somebody what data normalization is, for instance. If someone asks you what is a database, you don't have to wait until you learn SQL before you know how to answer such a question, because these are like foundational things that you should know, because whether you learn SQL or not, as a data analyst, part of the things you'll be doing will be to interact with data that is stored in a database. The first and most important question is, what is that data analysis? So you're answering two things basically when you say data analysis. One is data, and then the other thing is analysis. So what is it about data? What is it about analysis? Now, once you are able to combine both contexts together, then you would know what data analysis is all about. Now, data analysis, like I said, is a process of inspecting first. Now, why I said inspecting is because so I'm going to be practical here so we can have an understanding of what I'm going to say. So I'll open my Excel document. Hope we're all still together. All right, so just confirm. All right, so my Excel is opening. I'm going to work with data. All right, so I'll just open a few files so we can have a glimpse of what I'm talking about. First of all, um, based on the definition, right? Based on our definition, sorry. All right, so based on our definitions, I said it's a systematic process of inspecting, cleansing, transforming, and modeling your data to uncover useful information, right? So, assuming I have this, let's look at this data set, for instance. Now, assuming I have a data set, right? So, the first and most important thing I need to ask myself is, if you are presented, if okay, so let me be factual here. If I am presented with a data set, the first thing I look out for is to understand what I'll say is the structure. So I'm going to take down notes somewhere. So I'm going to look at what the structure of the data is. Now, when you look at data, uh, you can have data in terms of structure by having, let's say, a structured data and unstructured data. Now, once you have, so let me do this as, I'll just underline this, and this will be our point one. Now, I'm going to look at the structure data, where I'm going to try to understand by the definition of each structure whether it has some level of structure or or is not structured at all. And so I would like this class also to be interactive. If you don't understand, just call my attention. And also I'll be asking you questions too, just to ensure that we interact with each other. Okay. All right. So So I'm looking at, first of all, the structure of the data. Now, when I look at the structure of the data, it's going to inform me the next steps I'm going to take in either the data normalization, preparation, modeling, or whatever. Let's just say analysis, the kind of analysis I'm going to carry out on that particular data, right? So when we are faced with a question of what data analysis is, sorry, let me change this. So first we say it's a process of inspecting. So the inspecting, when you talk about inspecting a thing, it means you're actually critically looking at that thing to find out more, either more information about it, or if there are any issues around it, for instance. So it is a process of we inspecting the data first. And I'm going to refer back to my Excel where I said, when I look at this data, I'm going to be able to tell if it's a structured or unstructured data, right? So the next thing is, okay, so before I continue, does anybody know what, does anyone know the difference between both of these, structured and unstructured data? Anyone can just unmute their mic and say, okay. Um,
I'm
yeah,
speaking.
someone. Okay, so just tell us your name and then go on and speak.
Okay, so my name is Benjamin from Ghana.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the little I know about structured and unstructured data is that with structured, you'll be given thematic where you would be able to arrange your data, or it has already been arranged for you, thematic areas. But on
Okay.
structured data, you don't have those ones. It's more or less like they are, and you would have to arrange them in that manner. That's what I know about structured.
Okay. All right. So yes, I mean you're okay, you're on track, based on what you have said. Not very technical though, but you're on track. Okay. So any other person before we proceed?
Okay. Good
Good
evening.
evening. Your name and then go on.
I'm I'm Christopher Chukwubane.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. I would say a structured data is data that have been arranged into a systematic format, as in data that have been organized.
Okay.
So unstructured data is data that has not been arranged, does not be arranged into a predefined format.
Okay. Great.
Yes.
Okay. So great. You guys, are absolutely correct. So if I look at this data set, for instance, the first thing I'm going to observe is this data has what we call rows and columns. Now, and has several columns. So if I look at this, I have about 25 rows and 25 columns. And if I go down, I have about 9,426 rows. So if I am to tell what kind of data this is definitely going to fall under the category of structured data. Why? Because it is arranged in a systematic manner. In other words, it's arranged in tables, right? So it's arranged in rows and columns that are related to each other. So that is what a structured data is basically. And an example of a structured data is this table. Let's say any table. And mostly in relational, so structured data is usually used in what we call relational databases to because by the time, okay, so relational databases, for instance, MySQL, a Microsoft SQL Server, PostgreSQL, and the rest of them, because the data will have to be stored in the form of a table to be able to accept, to be able to, for it to be able to be accepted into such, location. Now, the characteristics with structured data is there is a relationship that exists between each of the data. So, am I still here? Okay. All right. So, these data are related by rows, and by columns. So, of course, you already know that the intersection between a row and a column is a cell. So, each cell or each row holds a specific record that each attribute, which are like the columns, gives an information about. So this is called a structured data, this kind of data. So it's organized. You can just for quick understanding and quick remembrance, any data that is organized in form of tables is a structured data. Unstructured data are data that are not organized in any more like they do not have a predefined format, I can say. So there is no format that these kinds of data are actually organized into. So examples are like video files, audio files, when you have those images and the rest of them, those are unstructured data. So you cannot really I don't know how to say it. So you cannot really put the all the pixels, in a category and say, okay, you want to categorize all the video by a particular pixel. So it's unstructured because, that attribute, that relationship that will connect all the data sets together is not there. So I don't want us to waste too much time on this. So now we're just trying to understand like the first things we need to look out for, or we're trying to also explain what data analysis is all about. Now, and this is the process of inspecting. So inspecting in still in the level, in the part of inspecting, the next thing you look out for is to see if your data has if your data needs cleansing or cleaning, as it were. So if okay, let me just say data, if it's a clean data, clean, or unclean, or dirty, I don't know. Yeah, dirty data. So you can say if it's a clean or a dirty data. So now the reason why it's important for you to note this is by the time you want to carry out some levels of analysis, if you did not carry out what we call cleaning of data, then your end result, no matter how beautiful whatever you're doing is, your end result is going to come out wrong, right? So that is very important. First, next is, while we're also observing the structures, we're also looking out for irregularities, which is part of the cleaning. So you're looking at if there is any blank in this particular, let's say, data set. You can look at it row by row or column by column, as the case may be, if you have the time to do that. Or you can simply just use several measures. So if I select this, I selected everything using Control A. If I use Control F to find, I'll leave this blank, and then I click on find. Now observe. So these are all my blanks, right? So I have a lot of blanks in here that I can actually take note of. Right. So if I press Control G on my keyboard and I click on blanks here. Okay, so let me start this again. I'll press Control G on my keyboard. And when this comes out, when this dialog box opens, I'll click on special and I'll click on blank and click OK. So it's going to highlight the blanks in this particular data set for me. So the reason why it's taking long is because, of course, this is a large data set. So you may not necessarily see it, but what I can just do is to fill. So if I fill this, I have, so don't worry, let me just, so if I scroll, it might be endless. Let me do my find again and find my blanks. So you see where they are. So this is the first, okay, this is the first blank. This is blank, right? This is the next blank. So you see all the blanks are filled with red. So it means that there are lots of blanks in there. All right, so that's how to go about this particular step. Where are we? All right, so we're able to determine whether it's a clean or a dirty data. So number 3 is this. So transforming and modeling the data. So when we talk about transformation of data, it's a process so of making that data, from an unclean and state into a state or a form that is usable. So you're taking it to a usable state. So we can say, so I'm doing contrast now. On usable or not usable, I don't know. Let me use not usable. So, all right. So your data, once you carry out several levels of transformations, you are actually, what you're doing is you are making your data to be in a form or in a state. So we can use form here. Sorry. Let's use form here. Yeah. So you're making your data to be in a form that is usable, right? So that is what data transformation is all about. Now, another thing that data transformation seeks to do for you is, by the time you have transformed that data, you can also bring about ensuring, or you can also bring about a data set that is properly formatted. Because, so I'll give you an instance now. Let me get this. So let me copy this data, right? I'll click on copy. I'll go to the, let's open a new Excel document. Now, and I'll paste. So let me take this properly from dates, other dates, up until this particular date. So this is about, yeah, let's say 20. Now, I want to paste this, right? Except you've worked with Excel for a while to understand the capabilities of Excel, if you'll be able to tell that this is actually a date. So how Excel sees this, currently it's seeing this as a date, but it's looking at it through the eyes of a serial number. So what you have here are serial numbers for each date. Every day in Excel has a serial number. Okay, but if you do not transform this data in a state that is not usable, so let me do something. So let's call this salesperson, and then let's call this maybe revenue that the person generated, right? So in revenue, let's look at a situation where we let's just randomly generate values. So let's say 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 to 1 million. All right, so we're going to generate this, and let's salesperson. So let me just pick random names from here, so we don't spend so much time generating names. Okay, what I'll do here, I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to come here I'll just paste this as values, and then I'll remove the duplicates. So I have unique names. So I have this. All right, paste this here. I can delete this. Okay, so this is going to be dynamic. So let me make it static. Now, so what I'm doing right now, I'm just trying to simulate, a possible situation. Okay. Let's call this, since we're in Nigeria here, let's use the Naira sign. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm using Naira now. So now see this. At this point, you have different dates, right? For different revenue that was generated by this salesperson. However, this is not in a format where you can use. So I'll give an instance. If you have this record, so let's just copy this little one and paste here and try to use it for any analysis, basically. So let's say I'm going to insert, let's say, a chart. So you see, it doesn't give you the right information. It's giving you serial numbers instead of dates. So how do you fix that, basically? So to fix that, you carry out the process of data transformation. And data transformation is making your data in a form that is usable. So how can we make this data usable? We make this data usable by formatting the data properly. So we can select any form of date. Let's just say a short date and then choose this. Now, once we do this and we are able to make this data in a form that is usable, we can go ahead and plot our charts. Okay. So let's insert, let's insert line charts, for instance. And all right. So of course, it's not picking because it's confused as to what you want to plot against. So we can actually specify, if we select the data and say, okay, we can remove this and add manually. So I want to plot, what do I want to plot? I want to plot the order date here. And for series, I wanted to pick all of this, right? So, sorry, this will be, so let me do this again. Revenue, and then all of this. Where did I? Okay, 12. So let me do this, move this down where I can see. All right. I'll edit this. So instead of 13, I'll say 12. And then I'll edit this and axis label. Label this. So is someone asking a question? I'll change, of course, I'm going to change this. Is somebody asking a question? I heard the beep there. You can just prompt me, okay?
No, it's not a question. It's just a statement.
Okay. Okay. In relation to what we're doing, do I need to pause?
No.
Okay. All right, that's fine. All right, so let me do this again. I'm going to hold Control key and let's call this a line chart, right? So these values are very closely knitted to each other. Why am I seeing a percent? All right, so you see, this is wrongly formatted, and we'll need to change this format. So okay. So basically, what I'm trying to say is this is an example of a transformation, right? But this is wrongly formatted. We'll just need to edit this. So if I was going to work with this, I have to ensure that I do this properly. So let's switch. Switch. I did this. I did this dates. Okay, and revenue. It's revenue amount, revenue. 1 month. Okay, and all right. So if I, all right. So basically, this is what a transformation looks like. Well, of course, would if we're going to plot a graph, would use a better way of doing this. Okay. All right. So I'll continue, and next is we spoke about transforming and modeling, which is the next thing. All right. So for modeling, part of the things that I'm going to show you is Excel has what we call a data model. So if you go to, most of you may or may not have a Power Pivot activated, depending on the version of Excel you use. If I click on Manage, Excel has, now this is for Excel basically. So we are going to do a lot with both Excel and Power BI. So just because of the swiftness of what I'm doing in the class, that's why I'm using Excel. So Excel has what we call a data model, right? So this is what a data model looks like. If I come to my diagram view, almost like what you have, in Power BI, right? So where you have your report view, your model view, and your table view, right? So this is an Excel data model. So you can actually, irrespective, I'm not specific about Excel right now. I'm just talking about data modeling generally. So you can model your data, meaning you can connect, you can find points at which your data connects to one another. So users are connected to, orders table, and the orders table and returns table are connected to each other. So if you click on this little arrow here, you'll see the columns that they connect on. If you click on this one here, region is connected to the regions table here. So this is an example of what you can do when we talk about, so number 4 is data modeling. All right, so where we model the data. All right, so these are some of the capabilities of what you can do with any of the tools, both Excel, Power BI. So data analysis now is a systematic process of inspecting your data, cleaning your data, transforming your data, modeling your data to uncover insights and information, draw conclusions, and support the decision making. So back to this. So let me delete this, and let me plot a proper graph now. So if I'm going to plot a proper graph, let's say I want to make a proper decision on this. So if I want to plot a proper graph here, I'm going to plot, let's do this. So I'm going to divide this data. So I'm going to have my salesperson, and I'm going to have the revenue, for instance. So I don't want to alter that. So let me just take the format to have the same format as what I have there. And then I can come here and insert my, let's say my bar chart, for instance. Okay, so I have a bar chart here that shows me what each salesperson made. Okay, so let me use proper dates. So I'll use is equal to today. All right, so this would be equal to this minus 1. So I'm actually backdating, okay? So I want it to be organized because this is not organized. Okay, so this is like the end goal of your analysis, right? So what I'm trying to say is the whole essence of analysis is to be able to draw, have insight into your data, so you're able to draw a conclusion of your data. So I'll just copy the formats here. Sorry. Oh, sorry, I copied the wrong formats. So I'll copy the formats, this date format, everything. And then my NARA format. So what I'm trying to do now is for us to see the insight, right? So let's generate some insights. That's what we're trying to do. So let's, have a proper line chart that shows you the, what's it called? This gives you an idea of, so assuming this was a daily sales, for instance, you can see now. So this is revenue based on day. So assuming they come and they say, no, I don't want to see the revenue on day. I want to see revenue by year, revenue by month, and the rest of them, and blah blah blah. Now this, at the end of the day, we have gotten revenue. So we've gotten two kinds of revenue. We've gotten the revenue by period. We started by using day. Now, so let's say I want to see the revenue by month. What will I be expected to do? I'll call this month. So this is just 1 month, right? Mind you. So how about we just tweak it a little and let's have different months. So if this was today, then let's minus it from 31 days. Okay. Right. So you minus it from 31 days. So it means you have different months. So what can I do now? I'm going to use month, but before I do that, let me just do that, for instance. Now, the whole idea of this is to show you the capabilities of your capabilities as a data analyst when it comes to using several functions, because I'm just using Excel, like I said. I'm going to show you some things with Power BI as well. Irrespective of the tool, the whole idea is not just knowing the tool, but to be able to use any tool you're given with to analyze data. So I want to get the month for each of these dates. I believe it's the same. Yeah. Month, right? That's 5, number 5. So and let's be specific about the revenue as well. All right. So we'll format this. Now, someone says, oh, I don't understand what these numbers mean. So what I can do is I'm going to say, okay, no problem. I'm going to help you do that. I'll have to format this. I think. And formulas with on Power BI, we Excel. All right. Yeah. I can use format. So text, I'm going to use month. So this is January. Now this is where our challenge is. We will need to work on let me use from the original data set, right? Instead of the one that is being referenced. So if I use this, so this is, I'll just copy this, right? Let me copy this and paste here without format. So the whole idea is you're able to manipulate data. So all these things I'm trying to figure out is being able to manipulate data to actually suit my need. If I have no idea what I even want to achieve, I'll be unable to do this. Okay, so now this is fine. So this is let's format. This is equal to format. Sorry, I keep saying format text. and this is our value. So we're going to format it in month, 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 month. All right, so this is May. All right, so this is July, August, and the rest of them. So let me just copy this and paste as values. So it sticks there. Now I can decide to now come here and do a chart by saying, okay, I want to see just the months, not to be specific about the dates anymore, but just the month. So you see, I have the months. Now I can decide to sort this, but there are certain things I'll need to do, to be able to sort this. So these are just basic things that you can do. If you want to also get the year, like you just want to know, okay, which year, so you use the same thing. You can use the year formula here or function, just bring out the year. So it gives you the year. So what you can do is, once you have gotten this kind of data, just do a little pivot table, so it can aggregate your year for you, and also say, okay, I want to see this. So just insert a mini pivot table just in here, nothing fancy, something little here, so I just want to see the year revenue. And okay, I still called it month, but it's actually year, not month. So okay, so now it's saying, let me change this to year. So if you look at your pivot table is identifying it as an amount. That's why. So, but no, it's not an amount. It's actually the year. So I can now aggregate this data based on the year. So by the time I do that, I can come here and insert, another chart. So this, from what I've seen, so I've seen several analyses at different levels. So this will now be year, monthly revenue. So this is now yearly revenue. Some guys will go to any length to get it. All right, so great. So this, you see, the end point is we have visualized this data, which is where we are right now. So we have been able to visualize our data. Now, once you have visualized the data, you can now begin to make your analysis, your notes and all. So of course, you must have been taking notes while you were carrying out some of the analysis that, oh, okay, I observed that so and so blanks were present. How many blanks were there, in the data set while I was working on that particular data? I observed that we have only 12 months in the sales period. So by the time you look at this, you'll be able to make the proper decision. So if you look at between the year 2023, 2024, there was a spike in revenue. So these are the things you can do as a data analyst, and I'm just using one tool here. So basically, this is what data analysis is all about, irrespective of the tool you're using. Like I said, I'm just using Excel. Well, I'll show you some things in Power BI. All right, so data analysis involves a variety of techniques and methodologies. So you've seen several techniques I've had to use, some combination of functions and all of that I had to use, and processes to interpret data. All right, so let me make this bold. So the whole idea is, once you're able to interpret your data, you'll be able to make informed business decisions and intelligent decisions, as it were. All right, so the next thing that I'd like us to try to understand is there are different kinds or types of analysis. You carry out several analysis as a data analyst, and you can use several tools for engagement in this analysis. All right, so we have, oh, I thought I arranged this earlier. Let me just push this down again, just to make it look proper. All right, so now we have the descriptive analysis, which provides insights into past performance by summarizing historical data. Whenever you're looking at descriptive analysis, you're actually looking at historical data to give you insight into what you're doing. So for instance, in that little analysis we just did, we saw historical data. When we looked at 2023, we saw how the sales spiked from 2023 into 2024. So based on that history, we're able to make predictions, or let's say understand the cause and effect and all of that. So next is diagnostic analysis, where we focus on understanding the cause of past outcomes. So based on that analysis, what led to that spike? What led to, first of all, the drop, if there was any, so what led to the spike? It will help us take our lessons and learnings and then put them down, so that if there are any factors, either intrinsic or extrinsic or internal or external factors that affect some of these things, we'll be able to tell. The next is predictive. So we can use statistical models and machine learning to predict the future. Of course, the world is going towards AI. So something you do with Python, R, and newer business intelligence or analytic tools. Even with Excel, you can. So for instance, let me come here. I hope I still remember this. Let me see. I hope I remember. Okay, so let me use this here. Is equal to forecast. All right, so this is your X and Y. Let's see. It's been a while I used this in Excel, sorry. Known-wise. I think you might need like 2 parameters to be able to do this. So, but let's assume we have these 2 parameters, right? So let's do this, Control Shift and Enter. Okay, yeah, so the arguments are actually too few. Let's say non-wise. Yeah, I need more actually. Okay. I need this. So this is not the best kind of data to represent this, right? So let me just use this. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have pressed. So I press Control Shift and Enter. Sorry, guys. So when you do this, you have to be very careful. Control Shift and Enter. All right. So this, like I said, this is not the best data set for this. You should have more variables for this, but Excel has the ability to carry out a forecast based on what you feed it. So you have to feed it the X values and also the Y values for it to be able to make a forecast of your entire data set. So this is like a mini predictive analysis, because at a very low level, of course, since you're using Excel, but you can use more advanced tools like Python and R, for your predictive analysis. So the ultimate goal of data analysis is to help either any organizations or people, as it were, make informed decisions, optimize operations, and enhance some customer satisfaction and drive business growth ultimately. All right, so let's look at basic things. When you're looking at data analysis, there are a few things you have to consider. In fact, there are things that are very key. So first of all, you have your what we call the identification of your data sources. So you need to properly identify your data sources, like any kind of any tool basically that you're using will have a data source that it's picking its data from. So let's say if you're using Excel, because Excel is a spreadsheet application, you can say, oh, it's picking data from there. But if you're working with Excel data model, sometimes you can pick data even from external sources. So I'll give an instance now. Let's let me look for, I don't know if I have any access file here. Sorry. Okay, so I don't have any Microsoft. Okay, I have one here. Hope it's still there. So Microsoft Access is a database, right? So, you know, legacy, but very useful all the same. So this is an others table. And so let me come here. I'm going to pick from a database from Access. What's the name of my database? I need to have name. This is the database, right? So I need to even know where it is. This is document, the figures console. So documents, figures console, access. So it's in, what's this? Info. Open file location. All right, so this is where it is. Query. So let me just take this and can I copy it while it's still open? No. Let me just try and get the path. Okay, it's somewhere in dashboard. All right, so I have the path here. All right, so if I come to my Excel, say what is the name of the database? The name of the database is sales order. I hope. Do I even need this? Okay, access sales order. So I'm going to, okay, let me just browse this so I don't make any mistake. So what I'm trying to do, so like I said, Excel is not the only tool, but I'm using Excel. So I can actually use Power BI to do this as well. Where's that part again? So it's documents, the figures console, it's lecture, Power Query, lecture materials, Power Query, Power Pivot, data, dash, yeah, and then this. So this is it. Let me test the connection. So it's working. It's working. Next. Select from a list of tables you want to choose. So I'm going to pick. Next is from my orders table. I can preview this. So this is it. Click on cancel and then I finish. So it's bringing in this data. All right, so it has imported this data and close. 192 rows transferred, complete. All right, so here it is. So this, if you can see, what I've done is I've imported data from an Access database. Access is a database, you know, owned by Microsoft. Then I brought it into Excel Power Pivot. So Excel Power Pivot is like an advanced environment where you can perform advanced things in Excel, data modeling basically in Excel, you know. So these are some capabilities, right? So why did we come here? We came here because we're trying to say when you're looking at data analysis, you have to know where your data lies. So it will help you. So identifying the data source would help you know what kind of data you're bringing in, what kind of data you are analyzing. When we talk about identifying data sources, you have a lot of them. You can get data sources from database, which is what we have just seen. You can get from spreadsheets, which is also what we've seen. You can get from external APIs. You can get from websites, and the rest of them. So a lot of sources, cloud services, and all. Then the next is to be able to clean your data, so you ensure that the quality of your data is top notch. So you do that by addressing missing values, removing duplicate values, standardizing the format, what we call data normalization. You shape your data. And then at the next phase is data integration, which is also like the modeling part. So where you combine multiple tables and multiple data sets into a single cohesive source to enable thorough analysis. And then we're going to see that especially in Power BI. So part of the things you also learn in this bootcamp is data exploration in Microsoft Excel. So we're going to be working with Excel. You learn the basics of Excel, from things like sorting and filtering of your data, learning how to use pivot tables, and then formula mastery. So you also, part of the things, like I said, when it comes to formulas, you have to know like how to use the functions, right? Which function, will serve which purpose. So are we all together? I have not, I've just been talking and talking. So just give me feedback.
Yes, we are
Yes,
on.
we are
Yeah.
together.
All right, great. So have you been following so far up to this point? Every one of you.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Which
All right, great. So now we are going to look at sorting and
Yes,
filtering,
yes.
which is,
Excuse me, sir.
yes.
Please, I would like to know where to get and those icons that will lead us to those analysis that we want to perform.
So
Because
you
some
said
of them you were not
you like to know where to get what?
like those formulas.
Oh, formulas in Excel.
Mm, No, those, yes, like before you go to where you perform those data analysis, there are some formulas that you use, like to
Yes.
get the date, to get
Yes.
those ones.
Okay.
We are fully, but you did not explain to us how to get those items out in order to manipulate the data.
Okay. Okay. This class is not like I'm taking you through a full class, because that's why I'm actually rushing. But if you want to get the formulas in Excel, once you come to your formula bar here, you will see a list of all the functions here. So if you come to recently use, you'll see some of the ones that I've used recently. On your own, you can see the ones that you've used. Then come to financial, you can see some of them. So if you look at text functions, you will see a couple of them. Now in the bootcamp, we're going to take a look at most of this. Like we'll look at a lot of them. We'll look at left, we'll look at learn, we'll look at lower, mid, proper search. So there are a lot of things that it can do for you. We also, I also use text here. You can use text join. Text join is like an alternative to concatenate. So a lot of these functions, so date and time. So like the ones I use now, I use day, I used month, I used today. So these are where you can find some of these formulas. You now will give you the time and date. So if I come here and I say is equal to now, open and close the bracket, it gives me today's date and the current time. And it is dynamic, meaning if I open this spreadsheet tomorrow, I'll see the time, the current time of tomorrow. So here you can get some of these math and trig functions. I use rand between, right? So I use rand between to randomly generate numbers. Then if you come to more, you can come to statistical functions. You will see the average, mean, max, and the rest of them. Come to engineering. If you are an engineer, I don't use any of this. So I don't have any business with this for now. Cube functions, there are some of them. Cube functions. So I don't use any of the, although I've used one before, that is this cube value. But you really you use it mostly when you work with what's it called? The power pivot, right? So in Excel, and you want to come back into Excel workbook. So that's when you use cube. Then you have information. So you can have info, is, and the rest. So basically, this is where you find all the formulas that you need in Excel. And I can tell you for free that no one person knows every formula. So you have to just learn, master the one that you can master and get used to. And then in the end of the day, you become proficient at it. All right. So did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. It's answered.
Okay, great. All right. So just give me a few seconds. So let me just plug
But
my
please,
system.
can we get this slide?
The slide.
Can we get it?
Okay, I'll try my best and make it available. But
Because we can
yes.
barely see what you're saying.
What I'm saying on the slides, or
Like on the screen, some of us are using our phones. Understand?
okay,
So the write-ups are not really that big.
are not legible. Okay. All right, no problem. No
Thank you
problem.
very much.
Yeah. All right. So back to what I was saying, that we're going to look at a couple of things. Let's say like sorting and filtering of data, looking at pivot tables, how to use pivot tables. Can look at formulas and functions. So you will learn how to master Excel formulas and functions. These are part of the things that we're going to look at in the cohort, in the boot camp. Okay. Yeah. Next is we're going to look at visualization. Very, very key. So I'm going to show you at this point. Let me pause and just show you a couple of visualizations that I have worked on. All right, so just open Excel. Let me close this. Not this, sorry. So this I just recently completed. Now, but the good thing is you can learn like on there are new ways to do things, right? So I learned newer ways to visualize my data, newer ways. So I just recently built this dashboard. Let me based on new ways, because of course this is one dashboard. Sorry, this is an external chart, so it's sometimes misbehaves. So let me get to the next view. So if someone tells you that this was built using Excel, at first glance you may doubt, because this is interactive. So you can use this. You can I can open my filter. So sorry, this is a macro enabled workbook. So where is it? There's something open. Hold on. There's something open here that I'm not seeing. Why is that thing doing that way? Okay, so let me close this and try to open it again. Sorry, let me use my task manager. Okay. All right, so let me I applied some macros in it, so and macros can be quite unstable, so you have to go back to the code again. All right, so let me open Excel again. Do I want to view? No, I don't. So I'm going to do away with that example that we're looking at. So this is the other dashboard. So you see, this was built, this is a new dashboard technique, right? That I'm going to teach you guys as well, because if you slice this data, so you can imagine in Excel, you do not have this kind of charts on a regular day, but we're able to come up with a chart like this. So you see it's dynamic, it's changing, so we are going to learn some of these things, how to bring things like this, make things like this happen in Excel. So this other one, okay, so what I'll do, let me open the selection pane. All right, so I'm going to do this. Yeah, so if I said is a macro. So there's a macro on this, that's why it's giving errors, but I'll look at the code, not what I want to do right now. So that's like the coding part of Excel, right? So where you have to use some codes, in your macro. So this is how we build some of these charts, so if I change this, for instance, to 40, you see it's changing, but these are and then these are the analysis that we're able to carry out here that I was able to do. So basically, that's how you work with Excel. And let me see if there is another dashboard that you can, you have an idea. Let me show you the Power BI. So this, why I'm showing you this is so you can see the possibilities of things we can do. So for Power BI, I'm going to show you different techniques, right? So it's not just building dashboard, because Power BI itself, you may not be able to have, like when you see what I did, you will not be able to get that exactly on Power BI. You have to do some data manipulation, some things differently anyway, and you have to work with PowerPoint. Going to show you is how to build so let this Power BI report open so that you see what I'm trying to say. So we work a lot with we'll work with data in Excel and Power BI. Then we'll see some of the capabilities of what we can do with these tools, right? So, and I assure you, if you are part of this, my teaching style is one that I try to see how everybody can be carried along, right? So it's definitely going to be something that you would learn, and not just not just for learning sake, because everybody is learning data analysis. So while that is opening, let's just continue so we can be buying time. I'll come back to it, right? So I'm also going to show you how to carry out scatter plots, right? Scatter plots. Well, basically, the reason why I'm listing some of these things are just some plots that, visualizations that, will be helpful for you. So basically, we're going to look at how to carry out certain visualizations. That's the whole idea of this. So look at how to carry out different line charts, different bar charts, different scatter plots. So, I wish if you took note of that. So Power BI is still opening. Let it open. Let me open Excel again. Let me point out something to you. So there are several ways. So just give me a second. Let me stop sharing, and then I'm going to share again with you. Sorry. Let me get to where that file location is. Just give me a few seconds. I'll be there shortly. So I'm sharing my entire screen. All right, so back. Let me share my screen now. So this is an Excel dashboard, right, that I built. I'm going to show you how to do some of these things, right? So basically, these are Excel dashboard. I'm trying to get. Sorry, there are a lot of folders. I kept them open, but I had to restart my system, so I've mixed up some of where they are. But anyway, okay, so this is an Excel dashboard. It's interactive. If you observe, there is a chart here and there's a map here. So the map is not dynamic because I used a different tool to build the map. But you can see, so if I can select this by year and it's interactive, I can select this by month and it's interactive. I can select this by the item, right? So it's interactive. So I'll clear all of this. I'll clear from here as well. And I'll clear from here as well. I'll clear from the states as well. So basically, when we learn together in this our journey, we're going to go through some of how to build some of these things. If you observe, it's not yeah, it might look like a lot, but it's a dashboard, right? So a dashboard, mere looking at this, you can tell. So if you look at Blender, for instance, you see the sales of Blender. So how much revenue was generated in 2018 versus 2019. They dropped in revenue. Of course, this is static because you're looking at Blender. So Blender versus let's say Fridge and the rest of them. So in terms of quantity, so the quantity sold versus either whether there was a growth or a degrowth. And then in here, the quantity of items that they sold. So if I look at the next, which is so who the salesperson, how much each person sold. You know, so then revenue contribution in terms of how much revenue, you know, each contributed, and revenue by quarter. So how many revenue based on the quarter, you know, so we can see all of this record and information, right? Once we carry out the once we look at the slicing of the data set. So if I come to state, so it's dynamic for some of them. So look at my total revenue by state. It's going to change. So it's changing, and I'm seeing some of these changing as well. So basically, this is how, and we're going to look at a lot of things, right? We're going to look at our Power Query, how you can navigate. So Excel has what we call Power Query Editor, right? So we're going to look at it, how you can navigate, and the rest of them through it. And those are like the basic things that we're going to look at. Okay, so our Power BI should be open by now. Yes. So I'm going to show you what. So this is a Power BI dashboard. Now, like I said, in Power BI, it's not all the time you get to build dashboards like this. So this is my slicer delivery truck. So you see it's dynamic, it's changing. If I put air, express, I can see the minimum profit, maximum profit. This is region, this is total revenue. So I came up with this. I'm going to show you. So this, in this part of Power BI, these are what we call bookmarks. So if I hold my control key and I press by year, so I'm going to see this revenue by year. If I hold this, I'm going to see it by quarter. I'm going to see it by month. You can't use a slicer to do this right now, but you know, you can use the bookmark to achieve that. So these are some of the things that we are going to learn together that you would get to know, you know, as you participate. What's it called in this our boot camp, right? So this can see regular air, but then I want to see it just by day. If I navigate to this, I'm seeing just the day, you know. So this is serving as a slicer, but it's actually called a bookmark. This, I would show you how to build this kind of background. So I built this backgrounds using Power, where I was trying to build you know, I started out by building, you know, the background. So I started here, this one, you know, some things. I moved to the next variation. So if you observe the difference between this and this, I came examples, right? So at the end of, so you see, you can have different variations of it. You know, I'll teach you how to do all of this. So imagine having, this is a very clean dashboard actually. So the colors are great, everything is intact. Okay, so I'm going to show you really, let me see. Sorry, I restart my, a lot of the items where they were. So let this just open up. You'll see some of the capabilities of Power BI. All right, so and see that we wrap up. Okay, it's almost getting late. So we're going to look at how to transform our data, how to okay, so part of the things I'm going to show you in Power, for instance. So forget about the visualization. Now let's look at the data itself. Now in Power BI, how to model our data. So when you click on the model tab, for instance, you will see different tables, right? So they are connected to each other. But more importantly, we're going to look for DAX formulas, right? So Power BI has two languages. One is the DAX language, and then the other one is the M codes. DAX functions or formulas. more like what you have as Excel functions, right? So they are different, they are more advanced. So you have, like, these are key performance indicators. So measure table, and then you segment. Okay, sorry, this is opening. Let's go back. So this is a table just to accommodate all my calculations. It's not part of my data set. So this in here, these are my key performance indicators. I have my maximum profit, minimum profit measures. So I group this. How to group the measure? This is average sales per order, quantity per order, return rate. So all these are one group. This is another group for the measure. And then we'll learn how to create calculated columns. We're going to learn how to create calculated tables. So observe, if I click on this table called sales by category, is a table, you know, just like you have a pivot table in Microsoft Excel. So this is the DAX function I used to create this pivot table. I said pivot table. Yeah, more like a pivot table anyway. Use the summarize function. So this is a DAX function. This picks first the table. Once you pick your first table, you get to the column. So understand how to write a DAX function. So these are all functions. So you get to the column. I was saying, okay, I want to summarize that orders table, this plenty orders table. Summarize it. So I want to summarize it by the product category and product subcategory with their totals, with their sales. So it's going to sum all the sales for all the subcategory and category. Excuse me. If I say I don't want this, I just want only by product category, and I run it, more like what pivot table does for you, right? So I'm going to see just by category and not subcategory. So you can see. So if I include the subcategory here, it's going to aggregate my table for me again. So more like a pivot table, you know, in what's it called? Microsoft Excel. All right. So next is you know, where I carried out an analysis of the wages, you know, but this actually a very old work of mine, very, very old. So okay, yeah, so we're going to learn how to carry out. So you see, now compare this kind of visualization to this kind of visualization. You see there is a difference because we have introduced several elements into it, where we went to PowerPoint, we designed some backgrounds in PowerPoint, and then we brought in those design in this kind of presentation and this kind of presentation. This one is just there. It's just normal Power BI. So the whole idea is to be able to know how to play around with it, know how to use your get data. So where to get the different data sources, you know, how to get from Excel, which is a common data source. We're going to try to see if we can connect to an SQL server. So let me see if I can connect to my Postgres. I have my Postgres server here. So this is local host, I think. Then my database. So I have a database called learning. Let me see. Recognize it for me. So this server is actually hosted locally on my system. So I'm trying to connect to it. So there are lots of tables in that particular database. So it's part of the things you're going to learn, that we can use different data sources. Excuse me. to connect our data set, right? So we're also going to learn how to carry out, okay, so it's loading. We're going to learn how to, okay, so cancel. I'm going to import this from not an SQL server this time around, but from a Postgres SQL server. So I need to be very specific. Let's go to database and I'll call this Postgres database connect. So local host is the name of my server. Database is learning. So the whole idea is, so let me show you what I'm trying to do. So if I open my command line here, just so I can be fast, because this thing is going to take time. The graphical user interface will take time. So I'm trying to connect to my Postgres database here on my system so that I'll show you the database I'm connecting to. So I want to connect to this particular database called Learning. Now, if I open Learning, so let me connect to Learning here. I'll connect to Learning here. I'll connect to Learning, connect to Learning. Now, once I'm connected to Learning, I want to see the tables that are inside of Learning. So these are all my tables. So pause here. So these are all my tables. Let's pause here. I'll come here and I'm going to click on OK. So let's try to see if it will be able to identify all the tables that I have in Learning in here. Then it can bring it into this Microsoft Power BI to work with. All right, so it's trying to find. All right, so look here. Let's look for a table. Let's look for a table car 2. I have a table called public car 2. So let's see if it's the information is correct, is the same. So I have ID, customer, car make, model, price, salary range, and city. So let's connect to this here and let's connect. So let's say DT, the car 2. All right, so you see I have this. So let me select information from car data. I'm going to limit the record to, let's say, 10 so that we don't have a lot of it showing. Oh, sorry, from car 2. Car underscore. Sorry. Underscore 2. All right, so let's run this. So you see, number 1, Ruvin Ferreira. Let's come here. Number 1 person here is Ruvin Ferreira, which is correct. Number 2 is Ravid Astupianas. So you see, it has connected to this database here in another application. Meanwhile, this is Power BI, okay? So this is another application. So we can learn how we can connect to different data sources. And then at the end of the day, we can learn how to carry out what we call data shaping and learn also how to create what we call hierarchies. So hierarchies, where is it? Where is it? Yeah, so this is an hierarchy where, and hierarchy is important. So I'll show you an importance of hierarchy. The reason I'm able to split this data by year, quarter, month, date is because there's an hierarchy, right? So if I look at my orders table, I have a region hierarchy. So I have, okay, sorry, my dates table here, I have a date hierarchy. So I have day, I have, month, I have quarter, I have year. So I created a hierarchy. It's going to help you for visualization, so that is the essence of that. And then we're also going to learn how to carry out, I said we'll learn how to carry out calculated measures, calculated columns, calculated tables. So we'll learn how to model our data. And Power BI has a new capability called DAX, so this is our DAX query view now. So if I come here and I click on this, for instance, okay, So I can come here and write my DAX query. Although this is a new feature, I don't think it's more than 2 months, or maybe 3 months even. Maybe 3 months, I don't know, but I think it was just maybe like last month or so, last 2 months ago or so that I saw this for the first time, in Power BI. So I'm still even learning how to use it. So we'll probably just learn how to use it together. All right, so back to what I was saying. We're going to learn all of this in Power BI, how to transform our data, how to create interactive dashboards, which we've seen, and intuitive reporting. Okay, so next is we're also going to learn how to analyze our data with Power BI, carry out drill downs. So drill downs is as a result of the hierarchy that I was telling you about. And then we'll learn also how to model our data and create DAX expressions, which is what I showed you, right? So we'll also learn how to build dashboards in Power BI, connect different data sources, create interactive elements, and also build great design visuals. All right, so part of this thing is I know that it's not really easy for most people because they are working, but of course in the bootcamp we're taking into consideration that most people are working. So we're tailoring our learning towards evening classes, and so that well, sorry, I think I omitted this, but weekends if need be, right? So we're going to have evening classes, right? And then we'll have a personalized guidance. So I'm going to work closely with everyone who will be here, and then we'll try to see how we can develop a learning plan that will align with all your goals and needs. And then also I'm going to provide career support to you. So maybe after the class, if you have any questions, you're working on a project, you need help and assistance, you can always reach out to me. Okay. Then key takeaways, right? So part of the reason why you have to learn this as a data analyst, it helps you to empower you and equip you with insights to make informed decisions. And also it's going to help you maximize your efficiency. Excel and Power BI streamlines your data analysis process. So I must be honest with you, if you know Excel and Power BI and SQL, these three tools, like they are like the foundation. So in fact, if you don't know Excel and you want to jump to Power BI, you will take a longer time understanding Power BI. Then someone who is learning Excel will catch up with you. So but if you are smart enough to grasp Power BI, without learning Excel, good. But we always advise, because even Power BI was built out of Excel. So that's how important Excel is, right? So it's good we start from this, at least from the inception. So you can see that I did a little of connection, database connectivity there. So it means that as a data analyst, you also have to have some knowledge of databases, and knowing all of this would actually help you to stand out, whenever you're looking for opportunities out there. And also, by the time you are able to build some of these visualizations and come up with some ideas and concepts, you're going to have projects that you can showcase. So I think, yeah, basically that is everything. So I have to stop sharing my screen for now and take questions if you have any questions. Okay, I'm listening. Anyone who has a question?
All right, so Mr. Leslie, this was a very. I'm sure I'm not going to join this bootcamp because these visualizations are very much
Sorry,
interesting.
your network is cracking. I don't know if it's my own anyway.
Okay, is it better now?
I think it's better now, but others can confirm as well if it's just me.
Can you just indicate? I don't know if it's my network.
Can you all just talk? Like, if can you hear him, or is it just me?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Kumsun Bane here.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, an impressive delivery.
Thank you, sir.
And I want to know the tools that we would have to bring. For instance, I'm using my mobile phone, and
Okay.
the spec of the laptop, or for that matter, the computer that you have to use.
Okay. All right. Okay, sir. So what I always encourage people is, if you're buying a system, buy a system that has a RAM size of at least 8 gig. 8 gig RAM, up to at least 500 gig RAM. That is hard drive space. Now, the reason is because by the time you install, so Power BI alone takes like 2 gig. Imagine you have a 4 gig RAM. Power BI is already eating like half of that. And then you have to install maybe like a database file, which is another 2 gig. So if you have like 4 gig, that's gone already. So it's always preferable, at least you have 8 gig RAM, and then a hard drive size of at least 500 HDD. Better if you can go for 16, that's the best, but um if you cannot, then just go with the 8 gig for now. And that will serve you for at least your data analysis journey.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Okay, Mr. Prosper, I think you can. The network is better now.
My voice is edible now. I don't have much time. It's already 10 p.m.
Or
It's already 10 p.m. So, like I stated earlier, it was just an intro class, right? So,
yeah.
to present for you in the course of the boot camp, right? So, for those of us that were not here when I stated, when I started in the next week, Tuesday. So we're having the classes on Tuesdays, on Thursdays, and on Fridays by 8 p.m. On those days, right? 8 p.m. Nigerian time and 7 p.m. Ghanaian time. So, and you heard it from the instructor himself. It is not just about learning, but because definitely learning, you must probably your personal projects might be having issues and post training, right? So you can always reach out. Definitely, before we begin the boot camp, we're going to create a group for every person that have enrolled in the course. So that group will be open until whenever, and answering questions even after you are done with your training, right? And additionally, most of us have asked if there's a certification at the end of the boot camp as to improve your proficiency. I believe the instructor would have a project maybe during or at the end of the course that we can use to test skills test. And so after you are done with that, you get a certificate of completion in your email, which you can of course attach to your CVs and all that. 100 supplements. But the main thing is the knowledge of it, because like I always tell persons, certificate is nothing if you don't have the knowledge. Certificate can get you a job, but your knowledge of your knowledge will keep you at the job, right? So building a portfolio with projects is, once you get the knowledge, certificate is just an add-on on top of it. Details. I'm going to send details to us as other stuff, materials that are needed for this training. So we have this week to prepare both our time schedule and our finance as well in order to get ready for the class. Right. So if there are no more questions, I think
Aldo Mohammed, I think he has a question. Yes, you can go on, please.
Yeah, my name is Audu, as you rightly said. May I know if there will always be recordings after each class, starting from Tuesday?
Okay, yes, each class, each session we have will be recorded. And Mr. Prosper will take care of ensuring that at least everyone who has access or who is meant to give access to it, yes, should have.
yeah. After each class, the recorded will be maybe I think Google Meet processes the video recording after 2 hours or so. So
yes,
probably the same night we had the class or the next morning we're going to forward the recorded versions to every participant.
My problem is possible I may be missing the Thursdays and Fridays one. That is my worry. Actually, I want to be part of the class, but my schedule may not allow me to have access to the Thursdays and Fridays. But I'll be fine if I get the recordings.
yeah, definitely there will be recordings because you know, one thing about learning is you don't just learn once. It's better you go back over. Even as a matter of fact, I still have the recordings of my first trainings as a data analyst. So sometimes I still go back to them. So
Perfect.
you have that recording.
I'm grateful. Thank you.
All right.
Hello, Prosper.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Yeah. Can I talk to you behind the screen? Maybe after this program.
Definitely, yeah. You can.
Okay. Okay. Very well.
So I believe we would communicate. We'll be communicating. I'll keep in touch with everyone. Throughout this week, I'll still be posting some sending podcasts to everyone of us to remind us about this stuff. All right, so let's call it a night then. We'll see on Tuesday next week.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Prosper.
No problem. Thank you so much.
All right.